Conservative new media viewers and JLin fans around the world, what's up? Let's get right into it. We're here to go over previously unanswered viewers' comments and questions from the game number 61 and game number 62 videos. Those were the two Dallas games. I will also be making another comments video for game 63 and game 64 shortly. Before I get started on this video, though, I want to address something that I've been asked by a couple of different people. People have been bringing up this new video that was done by somebody else called Mikhail is a JLin doubter, nothing more, nothing less. And people have been saying, hey, if you watch this, you should watch it and react to it and whatever. Here's what I'm going to do. First, I'm going to make the comment video for game 63 and game 64. Then after that, when I'm finished making that second comments video, then I'll go and watch the Mikhail Doubts Lin video, and I'll make my own video to react to that video. So this video, which is comments video number 4, then I'll make a comments video number 5 video, and then I'll make a video that's responding to that other video, and just to react to it. I haven't really had a chance to listen to it. I watched a little bit of it, but I just didn't have time to watch it just because I know it's 45 minutes and I've just been backlogged with other stuff. But I will do that because it's something that people are interested in. And obviously it's talking about JLin and I guess Coach Mikhail. And that would be the easiest way for me to just answer questions about it. So I just make a video about it so that people don't have to ask me individually. And that video, the Mikhail Doubts Lin video, was made by the YouTube channel Jeremy Lintel. So that's the video that I'm talking about. Okay, I'm going to start with the earliest unanswered questions from the Game 61 video, and then I'll work my way through until I have finished the last posted game number 62 video comment while I'm making this video. I will put a note in the video description below the video player at what point I transitioned from the Game 61 comments into the Game 62 comments, just in case anybody wants to just listen to the Game 62 comments or just to have a reference point. Now, just to refresh people's memories, Game 61 came against the Dallas Mavericks in Houston. Jeremy was great in that game, and that was the first that we've seen of Linsanity 2.0 in about 2 weeks or 5 games in the last time that we saw it. Now, Jeremy didn't play in the fourth quarter of Game 61, and that's because it was a blowout. Houston was winning, and they didn't need Jeremy, so there was no problem that he didn't play in the fourth quarter of that game. But Game 62 wasn't nearly as much fun of a game. Jeremy played pretty well in that game, particularly in the first half, but he ended up not playing at all in the fourth quarter. He was benched in the fourth quarter for Patrick Beverley, and that was the third straight game in which Jeremy did not play in the fourth quarter, including, although one of them was the blowout against Dallas in Game 61, but 2 other games he didn't play, and they were closer games. It was situations where you thought Jeremy would be playing. And Houston lost Game 62 to Dallas in Dallas, 112-108. So it was certainly a situation where you thought Jeremy might have been able to make a difference in the game. And so why didn't Kevin Mikhail play him? Now, just to refresh, as in other videos, the comment videos, when I mention the commenter's name, if they're from outside of the United States as listed on their YouTube channel, then I'll say where they're from, at least for the first time when I introduce them, just to help people learn where everybody is from in this worldwide JLin fan club community that we're fortunate to be a part of. Again, you cannot overstate how huge JLin is and how many fans he has around the world. And it's global. He's global. He's a global icon, and it's great. Also, in the video description, I will put the list of the commenters that I'm responding to. when they first come up. And that's also the order in which I'm responding to the comments. So if you read from the top going down, that's the order in which I'm going to be responding to commenters and who is responded to when. Although, if I'm responding to multiple comments from the same person, I won't list their name multiple times. So if Joe Blow asks me 5 different questions, I will put in the video description the order in which I first answer one of their questions, but I will not put their name in there again, just to be clear. You'll also find in the video description links for the 2 videos, the 2 game videos, if you want to listen to them again, or you want to go and see which comments there are that I'm responding to. And mostly, I answer most of the comments, although some of the comments are directed towards other commenters, like their response to somebody else. I don't necessarily respond to all those just because they're not directed towards me. Okay, let's get started here. Game 61. Again, this is Jeremy Lin, Linsanity. I think it was a 21 points, 9 assist game, which was great. Dai Sun from Australia. You're right. The example of a bigger player in Michael Jordan guarding Allen Iverson on that famous crossover move that you see in all the highlights where Iverson kind of shook Jordan, so to speak, got him off balance, is a really good example of how difficult it is for larger players to guard smaller ones. There are exceptions, though. Jordan himself was terrific at guarding guys, even smaller guys. When that move happened against Jordan, when Iverson did that move against him, I think Jordan was like 34 or 35. So he wasn't quite the defender that he used to be. But if Iverson put that same move on him when Jordan was in his prime, it would have probably looked a little bit different. Now, Iverson had a great crossover, so I'm not saying that he couldn't make Jordan lose his balance, but it probably would have looked better than it looked on that one highlight that we have all seen. Another counter example, another big guy that's good at playing small guys is LeBron James. If you watch the Eastern Conference Finals 2 years ago, whenever they put LeBron on Derrick Rose, he pretty much shut Derrick Rose down. And but again, that's the exception. Those guys are freak athletes. They're just amazing athletes that they have enough quickness and talent to be able to do that. Most times it's not the case. So most times if you get a bigger guy trying to guard a little guy, the little guy's going to beat him. And that happens all the time. And that's, as I said, sometimes Patrick Beverley might be a better defender on a particular player than Jeremy is because Patrick Beverley's smaller than Jeremy. And some of these guards that Jeremy's trying to guard, like J.J. Barea or Ty Lawson, they're pretty small. And it's difficult to guard guys that size. QQ974. Look, I'm happy making these videos, and I'm glad that you feel like you're getting all of the highlights from Jeremy each game. You're right. You're not usually going to get all of Jeremy's highlights from each game in like a highlight package on ESPN or something. They might show one play from Jeremy. They might show no plays from Jeremy. Now, I know the guys that do the Jeremy Lin video stuff, like Gerald and Blyon, they'll put together all of Jeremy's stuff more, which is great. I'm just doing it in a different way. We're doing it a different way. As I said, we're really hesitant to use other people's video, the NBA's video in this case. And so I just try to describe it and talk about it and also go beyond the highlight. Let's talk about what's happening at that point in the game. Let's talk about what Jeremy's thinking, what he's dealing with, etc. But I appreciate what you're saying, and I'm glad that you find these videos useful and interesting. Albertwayable from Thailand. Yeah, I'm not sure why Mikhail benched just Jeremy in the Dallas win and played Harden more minutes, even when it was a blowout. That's a good point. I'm really not sure why that was, unless Jeremy was still. We knew Jeremy a little bit before that had been sick, and also was having some ankle issues. Maybe that's why he did it. Maybe he was thinking it was all just want to rest Jeremy some more. Although we know Mikhail now is trying to experiment with the lineup more because of the new guys from the trade. So he might have just wanted to see, how's Patrick Beverley looking right now? I'm not really sure. That's a good question, though. It's a good point, because usually in blowout games, which that one was, starters don't play too much. The coach will rest them. William Thomas Hill in Japan, I'm happy to give direct and clear answers, my friend. I hope everything is going well over in Japan. Gwizzlez, yeah, the Game 61 video was extremely long. That was the 2-hour video. I think this video is probably going to be pretty long too. Man, the comment videos are long, and that's good. That's cool, because I get more of a chance to respond to people. Now, usually I will go into the comments section after I post the game video and respond to people, but I can't stay there forever, and people will keep coming in and commenting. And so these videos give me a chance to respond more fully to people and maybe explain some things that I didn't explain as well previously, or just go over specific questions that people have that I might not have anticipated them having. So this is great. Yeah, it's fun for me as well. Iron Dick, honestly, look, I love covering J-Lin and watching him improve and analyzing his game. It's fun for me, just like I was saying above. Look, some people like video games, some people like the garden, some people like this, some people like that. I love analyzing sports, particularly basketball. I've done it for a long time, and I've been doing it most of the time. When I've done it, I didn't get anything for it. I wasn't getting paid to do it. I wasn't getting anything. I did it because I liked it. And that's how I feel with Jeremy. He interests me as a player and as a story. I understand how important Jeremy Lin is to the development of the NBA internationally, and just basketball. Forget about just the NBA, but just basketball internationally. He's, as we said, he's a pioneer. He's opening things up for people that might never really cared about basketball, and that's fun for me as a basketball fan. It's like you get a chance to be a part of something new and exciting. And so as I said, though, I remember 10 years ago, I would tape NFL games, American football, and I'd go through and watch and make a whole bunch of notes. It's just kind of how my mind works. John and I, and I've said it before, we're very analytical. We like to analyze and break down and fix and tinker with stuff. And that's kind of what this is like for me. And it's something that I enjoy. I like sports and I like basketball. So it's a lot of fun. And it's been great for John and I. And I do it even if it hadn't been great for John and I. As I said, I've done this for years. When I wasn't writing about it, when I wasn't making videos about it, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm enjoy interacting with Lin fans all over the world. That's another thing that's been great. I met people all over the world. People from Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, everywhere. The Philippines, everywhere you can think of. And it's fun, man. I'm glad I've started doing it, because it's really worked out well, and it's been great. Now, you mentioned about an expression from Australia. I love Oz. Oz is a short name for Australia. I love Oz and the people of Oz. I've always been fascinated with Australia, and I've always felt like the people there are very friendly, and they're very tough, very rugged. The outback type of mentality. When we were growing up, John and I used to watch Australian rules football all the time, which is basically like rugby. And we loved it, man. I mean, that's a brutal sport, but I love it. I mean, it's just fun. So that was we used to watch it all the time. We were kids. I remember that vividly. And our oldest brother, who does not do videos, he played rugby. So, I mean, he loved watching Australian rules football as well. So go Oz. I've met a lot of people from Australia, both in real life and particularly on the internet, and they're great. They're just great. They love life, and it's fun. I like people like that. J-Lin ESQ from Taiwan. Thanks a lot for the nice words, and I'm glad that you learn a lot from these videos. That's great. It makes me feel good as well. Now, because you have the ESQ in your YouTube name, I'm guessing that you're a lawyer. Now, JDV, my brother John, he went to law school as well, and he practiced law for some time, so that's pretty sweet. I'm sure you guys could have fun comparing notes. Also, I've heard, and I'm sure you've heard by now, that the Rockets will apparently be playing in exhibition games this upcoming summer in the Philippines, and I think also in Taiwan. So if you're over in Taiwan, that could be a whole bunch of fun. If Jeremy's able to get over there and participate in those things, and I'm quite sure that he will, as long as he's healthy to do so. So that should be a lot of fun. I look forward to that and covering that, because that should be fun for everybody. J-Lin kind of going home again or home of his parents anyway, originally. And just kind of, now that he's becoming even bigger than what he was. And so it's great. Mr. Huynherful, thanks for all the nice words. And look, hopefully Jeremy will get to see these videos and see them. I'd love to meet Jeremy someday and talk hoops with him. That would be great, man. That would be a lot of fun. I'm sure I'd get along with Jeremy really well, and I think he'd get along well with me. And we just have fun talking hoops. And we could talk about other players, since I'm always talking about him. So, that would be fun. And he loves basketball, and so do I. So that'd be great. And as I said, Jeremy grew up in Palo Alto. And I've spent John, JDV, my brother, has spent a lot of his life in the Bay Area. And he grew up there. He went to high school there, etc. And our father used to live out there. I've been out there a lot as well. And the last place, actually, that I lived out there, I was living with John, and we lived in Mountain View, which is basically the town next to Palo Alto. And I used to spend a whole bunch of time over at Stanford. And so I know Palo Alto pretty well. And we used to do stuff in like some investment banking type of stuff, venture capital stuff. That's what Palo Alto is, part of Silicon Valley. So I know Jeremy's home turf pretty well. I've been out there plenty of times, and it's great out there. It's nice out there. Linamos, I'm glad that you got your phone fixed or whatever so that you could check out the video. Yep, it was a 2-hour video, which is the longest Jeremy Lin video that I've done yet. And look, man, people got to have their J-Lin. People want their Jeremy Lin information, news, and comments, and that's what this is all about. So that's what I'm trying to help out with. Look, I really appreciate your kind words. And the Jeremy Lin worldwide fan community is very nice and very appreciative. So it's easy for me to want to do these videos. And I enjoy it. I mean, it's like I said, in terms of fan bases, it's one of the nicest fan bases I can recall. So it's great. It's fulfilling for me. Jason in the UK. Thanks a lot for the nice words, and thanks a lot for watching. Lawrence Tzuang, hope I'm saying your name properly. You're welcome for the video, and yeah, it was almost 2 hours long. It was definitely a long video, so I hope that you enjoyed that. HulkHoganBodyslam. Yep, Jeremy did go into beast mode in the first Dallas game, and he showed McPhail that McPhail shouldn't be benching him in the fourth quarter. So we all love that. There's nothing better than proving people wrong. And some people won't like that statement, and people, oh, you shouldn't use negative motivation. You got to use whatever works, right? I mean, as long as you're not hurting anybody else. You know, this is just your own personal motivation, not anything regarding other people. So, look, Jeremy's used to being dissed as a basketball player. Everybody knows that. That's why I didn't get any scholarships out of high school. That's why doubters persist now. That's why people didn't think he was going to make it in the NBA. So if you're like that and you're competitive like Jeremy is, then you love proving people wrong. It's just that's part of what fuels competitive people, including competitive athletes. And it fueled Michael Jordan. It fuels Kobe Bryant. It fuels everybody. Everybody wants to prove the haters and doubters wrong. And, it's great to see Jeremy do that, even if the doubter is McPhail. As Alex Leach was pointing out, I think that Jeremy was looking for Chandler Parsons more in the first half of the first Dallas games, because in that game, Chandler, Bieber, Parsons had the hot hand. So when guys are cold, the other teammates might stay away from them, but when they're hot, they're going to feed them the ball. And that's what you should do when you're playing basketball. I mean, anybody can relate to that that's ever played pickup basketball. Someone on your team is hitting shots, you're going to keep giving them the ball until they start missing. And if someone on your team has missed a couple shots, well, they might not get the ball the next time down the court, and that's just the way it goes. Jeremy is extremely competitive. There's no question about that. We saw it last night. We saw it in various games. He likes to prove people wrong. And thank goodness for that, because if he didn't, he wouldn't be in the NBA. He wouldn't be in the NBA at this point, given everything that he's had to go through. Ngoniko, that's great. I loved your little thing about, silence the traitor or whatever. Yeah, look, I was the traitor. That's the way a lot of people saw me after I was applauding McHale in the Orlando game. I know that because people told me that. I know people were mad at me after the Phoenix game last night. I know that because they don't want to hear me criticize Jeremy. Because when I criticize Jeremy or critique him, they think that I'm siding with the doubters and haters, which is totally untrue. That's not true. But what's important is, and I've mentioned this before, what's good for a person isn't necessarily what they always want to do. And I've brought this up before, and I'll say, yeah, if you're a parent and you give your kid sugar all day, you're not helping them. Even if the kid wants sugar all day, that's not the best thing for them. So Jeremy might have a tough game, or he might make mistakes. Maybe he gets benched because he's not playing well. And I might say something like, yeah, Jeremy needs to improve this or whatever. And people get mad because they don't want to hear that, because they think I'm dissing him or whatever. Remember, this is a long-term project. This is not instant gratification all the time. Jeremy still has a long way to go as a player, even despite the Linsanity 1.0. Linsanity 1.0 was a perfect situation. It was a perfect storm, like the movie. Everything came together just right. Right coach, right time, right city, etc. Now, we all know Jeremy can do that again because he already did it. but he still needs to get a more complete game, not just pick and roll and outscore the other team, which is what Mike D'Antoni likes to do. He needs to be a better outside shooter. He needs to develop more point guard skills. And so that's not going to happen game in and game out. He's not going to do it perfectly every single game, particularly not right now, as he's learning as a young player. And when he doesn't do it right, sometimes coach is going to bench him. When he doesn't do it right, I'm going to say stuff because I have to tell the truth. If I made videos about JLin, and the only videos that I made were JLin's getting dissed, Mikhail doesn't know anything, there'll be a lot of people that would like that, but they're not accurate. The videos wouldn't be accurate because, believe me, we all know plenty of times Mikhail's wrong. There's no doubt about that. But there are also times that Jeremy didn't play that well, or Jeremy needed to make different decisions, or JLin needs to improve his skills. And that's part of it. So it's important for people to see that every single game Jeremy plays is not going to be a Linsanity 1.0 game. It just doesn't work that way. But he can get to that level. But it's going to take time now. And that's part of what's actually fun. Again, if you like gardening or you have pets, it's fun to watch them grow. It's fun to watch the plants grow. Jeremy's growing right now. He still has a long way to go. But that's okay. Just don't expect him to be Linsanity 1.0 every single night. Because it's not going to happen right now, and it's not going to happen on this team. And let me just say, there are plenty of times when Mikhail benches him or whatever where Mikhail messed up. That's what we saw in the second Dallas game. Mikhail messed up. So it's not a perfect thing. Anytime you have human beings involved, you're going to have imperfection. Mikhail's going to make a mistake. Jeremy's going to make a mistake. I'm going to make a mistake, or I'm going to emphasize one thing more than another thing. That's just how it is. But Jeremy is doing great, and he's going to get better, and that's the key. And that's it. And as ngoniko said, I was the traitor because people were mad at me. They were mad, and they were mad because the team won without Jeremy. So then it looks like Jeremy isn't needed, which is totally false. But the haters love that. That's what they love. But again, Jeremy's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. He's not getting benched. He's not going to be replaced as the starter. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. kalmykdude. Thomas Robinson does have a high motor, and he is a big dude. In Game 62 at Dallas, I had a good camera shot of him from relatively close up, and he is jacked. He is a big, big guy in terms of muscles and physical stuff. So I agree with you. He does bring toughness, and I believe he will end up being better than Patrick Patterson and Marcus Morris, although he isn't right now. And he's not in this offense because he doesn't shoot three-point shots like those guys do. Look, I miss those guys the same way I miss Tony Douglas, but I do think that Houston will be better off in the long run with that trade having been made. I agree with you. I think Jeremy is the best help defender on the team. Help defender just means helping out other guys on defense, not you guarding the ball, but you going to help somebody else out when they are defending someone with the ball. And also just playing the passing lanes, getting steals, not directly on your man, but when like someone else is passing and you're in the area. Jeremy's great at that. He's really, really great at that. I agree. Daryl Morey has a strong chance of being Executive of the Year. He's done great. I have a lot of faith in him, and I think things are going to get even better. Aaron Brooks is a good pickup. He can play, and Patrick Beverly can play. So the more depth you can have, the better. And I'm glad they got Aaron Brooks. Royce Reps from the UK. Good point on Harden being unselfish because of his Oklahoma City days. I agree. He sacrificed a lot in that situation because he came off the bench when he clearly had starters talent. He had starter level talent, but they needed him to come off the bench, and that's what he did. And it does really show that he's unselfish. James Harden's not a perfect player. He's not a perfect guy. Yes, there are times where he forces up too many shots and he takes the ball out of Jeremy's hands, but he's just doing it because he wants to win. Now, that doesn't mean he's right about how to go about winning, but he's not trying to do anything bad. He's an unselfish guy. He is an unselfish guy. I hope the Royce White vids are going well for you, man, and I'm happy to help out and just share what I've learned in doing my own videos. And yeah, I'm quite sure that Royce White makes you often want to throw your television out the window. He's made me want to throw my TV out of the window, and I'm not even covering his games. So I can imagine watching him might have the same effect. Alex Leach, I think it's great that Jeremy is now your favorite player. I think Omer Asik is a better defender than Jeremy, just because that's pretty much all he did when he was in Chicago, and he's very good at it. But I do understand how a person could think that Jeremy is the best defender on the team. Jeremy is an excellent defender. He's an excellent defender, particularly when he's going against guys that are his size or bigger. Oh, there's no doubt about that. 1997 camper. Yeah, look, the Utah Jazz they can't win right now. And you know what? That's great for Houston. That's great for Houston. So we'll take it. We will definitely take it. Thyrdrail. Jeremy is definitely a better player than Patrick Beverley. He's a smoother player, and he has more offensive ability than Patrick Beverley does. But Patrick can play. I mean, he can play. He's got ability. And I do think that playing on the ball defense, guarding the man who's dribbling, particularly shorter men, I think he's better than Jeremy at that aspect of the game right now. That might change, but it's good to have a guy like that. Right? It's good to have a guy like that on the bench. Great. Anthony Lau, thanks a lot for the nice words, and I hope you enjoyed the other videos as well. Bluebell 903, yeah, it's definitely good to hear that Kevin McHale was saying nice things about Jeremy after the first Dallas game. I mentioned in the second Dallas video, I think the Game 62 video, that McHale waited for Jeremy and gave him a little fist bump after the first Dallas game. You know, McHale's hard on Jeremy. I'm sure he knows that too. So, you know, it's like if you're riding a horse. You can't always whip the horse. Sometimes you got to give the horse a carrot. And I think McHale knows that. I think he does, even though he's tough with Jeremy. But as I mentioned before, I think that can be good in the long run. I think that can be a good thing for Jeremy in the long run. Juan Days 38, yeah, sometimes the backup player is the one that has it going on a particular night. That happens a lot, especially when they're playing behind a starter who's young. So that's why it's good that Houston has Patrick Beverley and Aaron Brooks. That way you have a better chance of winning games when the young guy's not playing well, but you can still let the young guy play and learn. And when you need to sit him down and put someone else in, you can do it. Tai Chi 311, I agree with you. Demo's postgame is awesome. And I would love to see him spend some time with Hakeem Olajuwon working on his postgame even more. Now, for those that don't know and haven't watched basketball a lot, Hakeem Olajuwon is a former center with the Houston Rockets. He won 2 titles in 1994, 1995, and he is considered to be one of the best centers ever and to have some of the best offensive post-up moves ever. And in the summer, he will come to a ranch that he owns in Houston or near Houston, and he works with with players to improve their post-up games. You've probably seen this recently. He worked with LeBron recently, worked with Amari Stoudemire. He worked with Kobe a few years ago. So it's definitely an advantage if you're playing with the Rockets and you're living in Houston. That Akeem will be there in the summer. And I would love to see Demo work with Akeem. I mean, he's already good, and that can make him even better. mbdubahah. I don't know a lot about Skylar Diggins. I've heard of that name before, but if you say that her and Jeremy would be fun to watch play, then I will definitely take your word for it. Night Surfer 1, never doubt the Villarreals. Never doubt PFE and JDV. If I tell you something's going to be 2 hours, then you're going to get 2 hours. CNM delivers, baby, and that's the bottom line. Jimmy898. Thanks for watching the videos, and I feel the same way you do about Jeremy stuff. If there's something with Jeremy in it, an article or video, then I'm probably going to watch it because he's interesting. He's a great dude, and we love him. 2000 new guy, yeah, as I said above, Utah just keeps losing. Even though they've got their full team back now. For a while they were playing without Al Jefferson, and they've been playing without point guard Mo Williams for a long time. Now everybody's back, and they just can't win. So I'm fine with that because it helps Houston. Now, I was asked a couple questions here. Just different questions about advertising and am I getting paid for the videos and all this stuff, etc. I don't want to say too much about this stuff. John, JDV's policy is he doesn't talk about advertisements on the videos, and we're partners, and we just don't like to get into any of that stuff because we just want to make sure we're in good standing with those people. So I can't really talk about advertisements on video. So if you ask me that, I'm not going to be able to say much. Now, let me say this. I have never been, and I am not currently getting paid to make these videos. I'm not. I just like Jeremy. I like Jeremy. I enjoyed Jeremy, and, I like talking with other people that like Jeremy Lin and that want to see him become a star. And that's why I do it. As I mentioned earlier, I would do this for myself, even if I didn't make videos. I would go over the games and make notes for myself and just think about it, just because that's how my mind works. And that's what I like to do. So, look, anybody that likes doing anything, you should do it. That's my opinion, even if you don't get paid to do it. Because if you want to get paid to do something, then start doing it. And the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. And then there will come a time where you'll probably be good enough where you will get paid to do it. So that's my advice on that. Will Ham. Yeah, it's a good suggestion you made about grouping topics in long videos. I was going to start doing timestamps and indexes for the videos. I mean, other viewers and have talked to me about that, and we've talked about that. I just didn't have the time to do it right now. These videos take a long time to do, and I like doing them, but it's just something I don't have the time to do right now. But it is something that I will look forward to doing or look into doing in the future. So I appreciate that feedback. Like I said, we're always open to improving what we do. And I want to make the best videos I can make. So I'm always open to comments and feedback and criticism. Thyrdrail, yes. Rajon Rondo is a Connect 4 master, apparently. Yeah, it is an old game. I remember that game when I was a kid, and I'm 41. So that game's been around a long time. I don't know how Rondo came to like that game, but apparently he's really good at it. You're right. Jeremy doesn't need to play 40 minutes a night right now. I completely agree. I think that might have been part of the problem last year and why he got hurt. Now, some NBA players can play 40 minutes a night, no problem. Jeremy's just getting used to starting. So if he's not quite at that level, that's fine. And the truth is, almost nobody plays that many minutes anymore. They used to. but it's not like that anymore. In fact, I would think that the guy with averaging the most minutes per game, there's probably less than 5 guys averaging 40 or more minutes. So it's just not something that they do anymore in basketball. So Jeremy does not need that many minutes. I think a good amount of minutes for Jeremy's mid-30s, low to mid-30s. It's probably good. Killerecho, I liked your comparison between Patrick Beverley's and Jeremy's defense, and I agree with you. Jeremy gets better position on defense, and Beverley is more in your face. It's more up in you. And both of those styles have advantages, and both of them can be effective in different ways. And as I said, it's like sometimes you just need a change of pace. If the defense gets used to what if the offense you're going against gets used to what you're doing on defense, that's not good. So you want to mix it up, and that way you keep the offense off balance. So it's good to have Beverley because he does play a different style than Jeremy on defense, and that's good to have that. thyrdrail, I appreciate the nomination for Jeremy Lin's International Fan Club. I appreciate that. There's probably better choices than me, though. I'll just say that. But maybe if I can handle the basketball analysis department of the fan club, then that's good enough for me. That's good enough for me. You're right. Patrick Beverley is not going to take the starting job from Jeremy Lin. That is a Fantasyland dream from the Lin-only hater crowd. That's just not going to happen. I like Patrick Beverley a lot, but he doesn't have the same amount of talent that Jeremy does, particularly on offense. Whitman Lam and Killerecho, I agree. Jeremy is a better defender on taller players than Patrick Beverley is. I have no doubt about that in my mind. Wilhelm, yeah, Jeremy could use some more respect from the referees. That will come. A lot of times young players don't get a lot of respect from referees. They don't. And it's something that you have to earn. And I think as Jeremy continues to play and continues to improve and continues to become bigger and bigger, he'll get more and more respect. And so keep your eyes out for that. I think that will happen. Wilezra from the UK, be nice to be nice to Ip Diana from Hong Kong and other fans. Not everybody knows that the little Parsons, Lin, and Harden martial arts handshake before the games has been going on for a while, so it's all good. Yeah, some people don't get to watch everything, or they don't know every little in and out. So, Sumiamchi, I think there are many McHale-only haters right now. I think there are a lot of people that don't like Coach McHale for the way he's handled Jeremy. And I do think McHale is going to learn, though. Hopefully he'll learn sooner rather than later, And as I said before, look, if McHale makes a move and it works, then great. Now I'll give him kudos. But if it doesn't work, then I won't give him kudos. So that's kind of how I do it. Now, there are times where he makes the wrong move and it works. So he might not deserve kudos. But to me, the bottom line is, did it work? And in the Orlando game, it worked, even though Jeremy didn't get to play. And so I'm just glad they won a game. McHale is not a great coach. I've said it before, and I will continue to say it. He isn't. He's a inexperienced coach that has a lot to learn. And, he's a lot like Jeremy in that regard as a player. McHale, I don't think anybody would tell you McHale's a great coach. And if they did, I'd say they're wrong. He just doesn't have the experience or the accomplishments to say that. He doesn't. Killerecho, many coaches do have set substitution patterns. But what I have seen is that more experienced coaches and more successful coaches are more flexible in their substitution pattern. So hopefully Kevin McHale can get to the same point. he does seem relatively unflexible, except sometimes when it comes to benching Jeremy in the fourth. And he's very flexible. But I just think it's the product of somebody that hasn't coached a long time, and they're not fully comfortable yet as a coach. And so, look, hopefully that is going to get better and better. You're right. I think you made a great point about Jeremy and his competitiveness, like the level of competitiveness he has. I think you're right. He didn't care a lot about the skills challenge at the All-Star game, from what I heard, and that's cool. As I mentioned about my own self, I don't have to beat you at cards and all that. I don't care about that, but I want to beat you on the court, and that's how Jeremy seems to be. So that's a good, it's a good example you gave. There are people that are like that, as I mentioned. Michael Jordan was like that. There's plenty of people like that. JDV's like that. They want to beat you in everything, but Jeremy does not seem to be that type of person, which is totally cool. Third rail, yeah, it's pretty sweet that Daryl Morey was playing ping pong with JLin at I guess at the charity event. That's good. That's definitely good to see. And look, Daryl Morey understands. I don't know. I can't sit here and tell you exactly what Daryl Morey thinks about Jeremy Lin as a player, but I'm sure Daryl Morey understands how important Jeremy Lin is to the franchise and to the NBA and to fans worldwide. So he's a smart guy. I'm sure he understands that. 1997 camper and Sumiamchi. Thomas Robinson is more athletic and he's tougher than Patrick Patterson, and he's a much better rebounder, which is what Houston needs. Houston rebounds well because Asik rebounds well. We need more guys to rebound. And I'm not dissing to Pat, but I think Robinson is going to end up being better. Look, there are people, I know, I've seen it. Oh, he's a bust, and he's already a bust. Thomas Robinson's like, the guy's a rookie. Give him a break. He's a rookie on a new team, and he came from a bad situation. Sacramento's having all kinds of problems this year, both as a team and are they going to move and all this stuff. That's not a great situation. Give him time. And Thomas Robinson's gone through a lot in his personal life too. Like with his, he lost like most of his family, I believe, and give him a chance. He's not a perfect player, but he can, there are things he can do, and I think he's going to get better and better. Now, there is a chance that he will be dealt, as I think when they got him, that Daryl Morey was looking at trading him for Josh Smith. And I believe Daryl Morey has said recently, yeah, we're still going to go after Josh Smith and Dwight Howard. So, T-Rob might not be here very long, but if he is here, I think he can help out. RockLin Roll, great point on Jeremy playing through adversity. He is playing through adversity, and I think that it's going to help him. And I do think that more people will like him and come to be a fan of his because they know he's playing through adversity. That's one of the things that made him so appealing. Guy goes from the couch to Linsanity 1.0, superstar of New York in the league. Everybody loves a story like that. It's like Cinderella. You're there and you're scrubbing the floors, and then you're at the ball with the prince. Everybody loves that rags to riches story. And you're right. He's still playing through adversity. He's still being doubted by McHale, by people in the league, sometimes by his teammates, certainly by the haters. But Jeremy's tough, and he's overcome all of that so far, and he's still going to overcome more. I'm confident of that, and that's what people like. I said people can relate to Jeremy. People can relate to Jeremy. And that's a big part of his appeal. He's just an average guy. So he's not average, but he seems like an average guy. He's like a guy in an office that never gets promoted. He's always overlooked. People relate to that. And that's a big part of his appeal. Soul Glow 8 from Canada. You're right. Houston doesn't have to play Lin, but if they don't, then the fan base is going to be very unhappy. The Lin-only haters are completely outnumbered by Lin fans around the world. So the organization's going to get the message. They already have. And I mentioned this in Game 63 video, I believe, the Golden State. The Rockets.com guy, Jonathan Feynman, I think his name, they went and talked to Jeremy the day after the second Dallas game because they knew everybody was mad. They knew people were like, why don't you play him in the fourth quarter? So I don't care. I know people have said, oh, the organization's not listening to Twitter. And yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. That's my own belief. I'm not accusing anybody of lying or anything here, but believe me, if you're in the entertainment business, and sports is entertainment, even though it's competition, it's also entertainment, you have to listen to the audience. So I'm sure that people involved with the Rockets knew how upset people were that Jeremy didn't play in the fourth quarter of the second Dallas game. And I think that they're going to talk to Jeremy the next day like, hey, everything's okay, right? Everything's okay, was kind of like a reaction to that. So, look, the Lin fans are going to be heard. They're going to be heard, even if the haters don't like it. That's why Jeremy's so important, right? Because his fan base is so huge. You can't ignore it. And it's good that people voice their opinions. They should, because if you do, then the people in the Rockets are going to listen. But it's a balance, as I said. And I will actually talk more about this in pretty soon in another response to another comment. It's a balance. Jeremy can't just take over the team, even though his fan base might like that. He can't take over the team just because he's so popular. He still needs to improve. He still needs to be coached. So it's a balance between you better do it or the fan base is going to punk you out, and let him develop as a young player. And that's important as well. Huynherful and Blue Bell, yeah, look, McPhail blew it big time in the second Dallas game. He did. There's no question about it, and everybody knows it. But he does seem to have learned his lesson. He learned the lesson in the Golden State game, Game 63. He learned the lesson in Game 64 in Phoenix, even when they didn't win. And Jeremy didn't play great all the way in that game. He played really great in the first quarter, but he wasn't great in the second and fourth quarter. But McHale stayed with him. Good. Justin Fuller, yep, McHale did blow the second Dallas game. It was very sad to see. But as I've said before, sometimes you have to fail to get the right message. And hopefully McHale did that. And so far he seems to have gotten the message. CraZun from Taiwan, no doubt about it, McPhail choked in the second Dallas game. I absolutely agree with that. But he has improved since then. LaTrincheraDelHonor, yeah, look, it was weird not to see Jeremy play in 3 straight fourth quarters, although the first Dallas game was a blowout and he didn't need to play. But it was weird not to see him play in those other 2 fourth quarters. That was odd. I mean, it was. And hopefully that we won't be seeing a lot more of that in the future. mbdubahah, hopefully Coach McHale is actually thinking about a 6th place in the playoffs, even better than 7th and certainly better than 8th. Okay, moving on to the Game 62 video comments. Killerecho. It is important to let a young point guard play through their mistakes. That is important. It's a tough situation, though, for Coach McHale because the team needs to win in order to get a playoff spot. So you're balancing development with winning. And again, I will talk a little bit more about this in response to another comment. I made some notes. I wanted to say more about this. I am happy, though, that McHale kept J-Lin in for the Phoenix game yesterday, even though they lost. Because that's going to help him. As I said, that game might be the single biggest game that Jeremy learns from this year because of how he played in that game, because he was so good and then pretty bad at other times. So it's like he'll look at that tape and be like, yeah, in the first quarter I played great. Here in the second quarter, not so great. And a lot of it was in Jeremy's hands how he played. It wasn't a coach's fault. Like, he didn't get benched. He just, the decisions he was making on the court weren't good at times. And he'll see that. And so it's like you said, Mikhail will let him play through it. Okay, well, when you play through it, you have to learn the lessons. And then it's up to Jeremy to improve himself. And I'm sure he'll do that. XOXO000. Yeah, you're right. Good coaches do need to recognize winning players. There's no doubt about that. Thank goodness Mike D'Antoni saw that Jeremy was a winner last year. Mikhail is not a good or proven coach. Now, could he be a championship caliber coach? If he ever gets to that level, he has a long, long way to go before he's going to be at that level. And that's okay. That's fine. Just like Jeremy has a long way to go to be, a top 3-point guard in the league. That's all right. Now, we'll see if Coach Mikhail can get there. And if he can't get there, well, then there might come a time when the organization decides that they're going to go in a different direction. I don't think Houston is going to trade Lin anytime soon, including to the Lakers, where Coach D'Antoni is. Look, even if Mikhail and his staff isn't high on Jeremy Lin's talent, Les Alexander, the owner of the Rockets, is too smart to let Lin go again. Remember, Houston had him before. There's no way they're letting him go again. There's no way. So, as I've said previously, if there becomes a tug of war, pulling a rope each way between Lin and Mikhail, then I think Mikhail's going to be the one that loses, because Lin is too important to the franchise and to the league. And but we're not close to that now. That's not going to happen anytime soon. So because that's not going to happen anytime soon, it's not, Mikhail's not getting fired at this year or the end of this year. It's not going to happen. The earliest that I could see him getting fired would be middle of next year if the team was really doing poorly. But he's not going to get fired right now because the team's done better than expected. So because Mikhail's not going anywhere right now, I think it's important for Jeremy particularly to just roll with the punches, so to speak. Yes, Mikhail does the tough love approach, but just learn from it. And I think Jeremy is doing that. And I do think it will benefit Jeremy in the long run. And that's really important. Like I said, give the kid the sugar right now. They're going to love you. They're going to be happy, but it's not going to help them later. That's where Jeremy's at. He still needs more discipline in his game. And he's learning that. He's learning that. And the tough love can help with that. So Jeremy has a lot of power in this situation. A lot more than a lot of people think that he does, particularly the haters. This is why they hate how popular Jeremy is. Jeremy's so popular, and he has such a huge fan base that he does have a lot of power, even though he's not a completely proven player in terms of years and years of proving himself. He does have power, and you have to be careful with that. You have to be careful about that as a player, because I've seen players who they'll use their power to make a change, to get a coach fired or whatever, and then it blows up in their face. One person that might not be, one example of this right now is Carmelo Anthony. Well, you got rid of Mike D'Antoni. Now you got Mike Woodson. Is everything great? Yeah, you're better than you were last year. Are you guys really, are you going to win the MVP? No. Are you going to really compete with the Heat and get to the finals? Nope. So sometimes the grass looks greener, but it isn't. And so I think for Jeremy right now, he needs to accept where he's at. Don't and this is, I know Mikhail knows this and thinks this to a certain extent. I can hear it. I can tell it from things he said. You can't let the fact that you're a global icon get in the way of improving as a basketball player. He's not there yet. He's not to the point yet that he can be as a basketball player. He's got a long way to go. I can tell you that right now. It's not because I don't like him. I love Jeremy. Nobody's a bigger Jeremy Lin fan than I am. But again, I'm realistic. We've seen before. I can't even tell you how many guys I've seen like this. Guys that come into the league. I mean, they come in straight from high school or like 1 year of college, and they've got a little posse around them that tells them they're the greatest things ever, and they disappoint, they fail, they flop. Now, Jeremy's not going to do that. He's already beyond that. But you don't want to buy your own hype too much. You don't want to read your own press clippings too much, because then you can believe it, and then you stop improving. And Jeremy said this. When he talked about Linsanity 1.0, he's like, yeah, I think he even said it like, my ego was getting too big or something. Right. Not because Jeremy's a bad guy, but because if I take 10 people and I go to somebody's work every single day, and I have those 10 people just praise somebody, a worker, every single day, day after day, you know what? That worker's going to think they're the greatest worker that ever lived, even if they're not. And that's what Jeremy went through last year and what he's going through this year. Everybody's telling you you're the greatest thing ever, and Mikhail's doing you wrong. It's like being, it's like a person trying to diet, being tempted with cakes around them all the time. If you have a cake around you constantly, you're going to want to eat the cake. So for Jeremy, if he gets frustrated, it's easy to just, Mikhail's doing the wrong thing by me. That's what I said. That's like a Carmelo Anthony, in my opinion. Or it's like Kyle Lowry, who was a point guard last year. It's all Mikhail's fault. You can't do that. You can't do that. Even if you're right, you can't do it. Because then you stop improving. Then you stop improving. And I've talked about this in other videos where I think a lot of the players today are too spoiled. Like Dwight Howard or whatever. Although, Dwight's changing some now. I have nothing against Dwight. I have nothing against any player as a person, but it's how they act. Dwight was acting like a spoiled baby in Orlando at the end. That's what I thought anyway. Well, guess what? If you just blame everybody else, then you don't have to blame yourself. And you don't have to take your own responsibility for what you're doing. And that's when guys don't get better as players. As I said, and Jeremy knows this. He does know it, and that's good. But just because you know it doesn't mean you don't have to deal with it. If you've got an army of fans around the world coming out after every single game and getting on the coach and getting on other fans, again, it's easy to think that you're all set and you don't have to improve. And that's dangerous for a young player that still needs to improve. So he has to resist that. He has to resist that. And I think he's doing a good job of that. In fact, I think he did a great job of that. There are very, very few players in the history of the NBA that I can remember that are in the position Jeremy's in now. I mean, there have always been stars, and there are guys that come into the league with a superstar reputation. But Jeremy's fan base is gigantic to an extent that I don't think many people in the United States really comprehend. I understand it because, again, doing the videos, we see where people are viewing from and stuff. But I think a lot of the not even just haters, just people, there's normal fans. I don't think they understand how popular Jeremy really is. And so you have a fan base that wants Jeremy to succeed so badly that's a lot of power. That's a lot of power. And again, Jeremy's got to be careful with that. And again, I think he's done a great job with that. And you need to stay humble and still, master and student in martial arts films. You got to stay humble. And that's what's going to help Jeremy. If he can stay humble for another couple of years, then he can be a true star. Again, look at Popovich and Tony Parker. Now Parker's a legit superstar. He wasn't like that before. He wasn't that good. He had a lot of holes in his game. Now he has many fewer holes. And Tony Parker's like 30. Jeremy's 24. Just keep working. Don't listen to what all the fans are saying too much. Okay, Jay Sains. I'm sorry, I'm probably still not saying it right. Sorry about that. It was nice to chat in the comments. And yeah, look, I'm looking forward to a lot more conversations with you and in the future. So thanks a lot. I appreciate your nice words. Gamer 2.0, I just want to let you know, I saw your emails that you sent. I just haven't had a chance to look at them yet. Yesterday was just a nutty day for us, myself and John, Sunday, March 10th. I will respond to you, though, soon in those emails. Lakers are looking great. They're looking great. They really are. Got to give them credit. They look, they've come back from the dead. And I think there's a real chance they could get the 6th seed if they can beat out Houston. Now, I don't hope they beat out Houston, but I think there's definitely a realistic chance there. And look, if they get the 6th seed, they might be able to win a series. They might be able to do some real damage in the playoffs. If they get to match up with the Clippers or something and avoid like Oklahoma City, it's possible. It's possible. So it's if you're a Lakers fan, you got to be very excited right now. And that's great. I'm happy for you and for all the Lakers fans, and I certainly respect what the Lakers have been doing. Sumiamchi, look, I'm not the biggest Mikhail fan in the world, and I definitely hear what you're saying. As I said, though, it's not just about Mikhail. It's also on the players. You have a young team here, and the guys have a lot to learn, both as individual players and playing together. And for now, as I said, Mikhail's who the team has. He's not going anywhere right now. So you just got to rally behind him. That doesn't mean you don't question his decisions, but you got to stick with him. And the fans need to have some patience with Kevin McHale as well. So we just got to make the best out of it right now. And again, when McHale messes up, we'll call him on it. And that's the way it should be. As you mentioned, I also would love to see Terrence Jones playing some more. For whatever reason, they must not feel like that works out well for the team. Maybe it's the scheme in the sense that the other small forwards that they have are better shooters than Terrence Jones, Delfino, Garcia. I know Terrence can play small and power forward, but I don't know. Look, I like Terrence Jones a lot. He's incredibly athletic, but just going to have to go with their decisions for right now. KN Cat, you made some great points about coaches making adjustments during the game to counter what the opponent strategies are. I agree with you. It would be great to see McHale and his staff be able to adjust to what defenses are trying to do to limit Jeremy. Some coaches just are not good at adjusting during the game. And McHale might be one of those coaches. I know, I've mentioned this before. Eric Spoelstra, coach of the Miami Heat, who's a new champion, he's always been criticized for not being a good in-game coach in terms of making adjustments to what's happening in the game. He's great in between the games. He can break down film and say, okay, they did this and this, and now the next game will do it differently. But during the game, he's never been that great. So some coaches are, they're not good at that. And again, Coach McHale is not a great coach. He's not. But we're stuck with him for now. Even though he's not a great coach, this is all we got right now, and he's not going anywhere. Look, I know a lot of people that are Jeremy fans want Jeremy to get traded to the Lakers so he can play for D'Antoni again. Let me tell you something. Mike D'Antoni is not a great coach either. Now, I know he won Coach of the Year one year with playing with Steve Nash, and he's not a great coach. He's not looked at as a great coach. He's a coach that has a specific system. And that system works for certain players like Steve Nash and like Jeremy. But I don't think Mike D'Antoni's system is ever going to win a championship. That's an easy way to say it. So I don't consider him a great coach. I consider Greg Popovich a great coach. I consider George Karl of the Denver Nuggets a great coach. Rick Carlisle is an excellent coach. Kevin McHale's definitely not in that category, and I don't think Mike D'Antoni is either. And that's what I'm saying. Mike D'Antoni is like the parent giving the kids a sugar. It's great for now, but what do you do when you have to run a different system? When you have to play a different style? D'Antoni's always criticized for not being able to get a lot done in the playoffs because you can't play run and gun in the playoffs as much because teams slow down the offense and they slow down the pace. And you have to be able to adjust to that. And as I said, McHale is a tough love coach, and he's not a great coach. But I think that tough love stuff can help Jeremy. And I do think if you don't see things going well next year, as I said, if things don't improve or whatever, then I think you might start hearing questions about McHale's job. But it's not going to happen now. It's not going to happen now. So for now, we just have to be patient. We have to let McHale grow. We have to let Jeremy grow. Jeremy is still growing a lot as a player, and he still has a lot of work to do to become the player that he can become. And he needs to keep working at that and just keep going. Just keep going. Marvin209, thanks a lot for the comments, and great to have you on board. I'm glad you enjoy the videos, and I'm glad they help you get through your workouts or commutes to work. That is sweet. 209 will be in the house when Nick Diaz faces George St. Pierre here in the upcoming UFC 158 pay-per-view soon, which that'll be interesting to watch. Now, for those that don't know, 209 is an area code for the telephone in like the Central Valley part of Northern California. It includes the city of Stockton and some other areas around there, which is where Nick Diaz, the MMA fighter, is from. In the United States, 209 is a pretty well-known area code because people that are from that area code often talk about themselves as the 209. Nick Diaz always saying the 209. So Marvin is Marvin 209. So I'm thinking he's from the 209 area code. So that's pretty cool. And I know HulkHoganBodyslam is also from 209. 4-star KT from the United Kingdom. Yeah, Harden's ISO hero ball has cost Houston some games this year. It has. But it's also helped Houston in other games, like the Phoenix game the other day. Still, I would like to see much less ISO ball. It's just, look, we saw this in New York with Jeremy, right? Carmelo Anthony ISO ball versus Jeremy Lin get everybody involved ball. I'm a much bigger fan of the get everybody involved ball. But I don't know if you're going to see a lot of changes in the offense for the rest of this season. We only have maybe 7 weeks left of the regular season and then the playoffs. So are things going to change a lot in 2 months? No. Now, what you are seeing more of, though, is you're seeing more cutting from players on the Rockets. Like we've seen it with Jeremy. He's cutting more. So there are wrinkles and subtle changes that will be made to the offense, but I do not think you'll see a lot of fundamental changes in the offense this year. So we're probably just going to have to wait on that one. Sumiamchi, that's great how you have the stats on how Houston does when they're playing a more serious offense rather than the hero ball ISO offense. Hopefully Kevin McHale is aware of that, and I'm sure he is. I mean, there's plenty of people on the team that keep stats, and they're paid to know those things. And at some point, the team's going to have to get away from that more and more. Again, I just don't know if that's going to happen this year. It's something we may have to wait until next year to see. Kwok Live from Hong Kong, you're right. Kevin McHale is testing the roster. Some of that has to happen because of the trades, because you've got new guys on board. And now you have a void at power forward. You gave up guys that were starting, whether they should be starting or not. You gave up guys that knew the system and were starting. And now you're going with two young guys, basically, in Demo and Thomas Robinson. And so you have to try different things. So, now, is he experimenting too much? Yeah, he might be. I don't know if we need to keep going with the sit Jeremy Lin in the fourth quarter experiment. That might be one experiment that can be ended. But some of it's just it has to happen right now, given the circumstances. I agree with you that right now, today, Greg Smith is a better player than Thomas Robinson for this team. And that's because Greg Smith knows the offense better than Thomas Robinson does. And look, Greg Smith's an athletic guy, and he's bigger than Thomas Robinson, who is a big guy. So we know that Greg Smith can catch passes and dunk and be an enforcer. So, yeah, I love Greg Smith. I like him quite a bit. Sumiamchi, yeah, look, you made a good case about Kevin McHale and his limitations as a coach. I said, just hang in there for now. And again, we'll see how things go next year. If they don't keep improving, then keep an eye on Kevin McHale's job security then. Will Ham, I agree with you. I thought that Jeremy's three-pointer at the halftime buzzer of the second Dallas game was good. I thought it was good. I know they were reviewing it and doing all that stuff, but to me it looked pretty clear that it was out of his hands. So I don't know what that decision was. I do know that the Rockets weren't happy with the refereeing in that game, which I think Chandler Parsons went on his Twitter and put bogus, which I took to mean that the refereeing was bogus in that game. So refs aren't perfect. That can happen. Hopefully they'll do better next time. Keldraco from Singapore. Aaron Brooks might take a little bit of time from Jeremy, but maybe not. We could have used Aaron Brooks in the Phoenix game, as I mentioned earlier, but Aaron Brooks is not the future of the franchise, I don't think. Even though he's only 28, he's not that old, but he's been with Houston before. They know what he is and what he can and can't do. I wouldn't worry about it too much, is probably the best way to say it. If Aaron Brooks is going to take time from Jeremy Lin, then it's probably going to happen this year if the team is going all out to get the number 6 spot. And they just don't want to live with any mistakes by Jeremy, and they want more of a veteran guy. But again, we only have about 20 games in the regular season left this year. So even if Aaron Brooks takes some time from Jeremy, I don't think that'll be the case next year, unless he's the primary backup rather than Patrick Beverley. So don't worry about it. I just want to give a shout out. This is not a comment I'm answering, but I just wanted to give some recognition again to Wenshu City and the moderator over there who goes by the name of Foolist. And I know you told me your name before, and I believe your name is Jim. I just want to thank you guys again. You guys have really been nice to us, and I know you're always putting up the videos, and I haven't had a chance to just say anything to you guys in a long time, so I just wanted to give a shout out now. The site's great. Again, I believe it's a site that is in It's located in California. Like it's located in Palo Alto or that area, actually near where Jeremy's from. But I believe it's a site that's in Chinese. And so it's cool. I mean, they seem to cater to people who speak Chinese in the United States. And they do a great job. I go over and I read the site, and I read it translated. And so sometimes some of the phrases and stuff are funny just because, the translation's a little off. They miss meanings and stuff. But you guys are doing a great job. And again, we appreciate your being kind to us. So just wanted to give you another shout out with that. And if I'm wrong about your name and it's not Jim, maybe it's John or something. I know it's something with a J. I think it's Jim, but feel free to come and correct me because I want to give you the proper credit. Dat fan from Australia. Thanks a lot for nice words, and I'm glad that my analysis videos help you to feel more calm and assured. And again, I appreciate that you're watching. Look, it's very easy to get caught up in each game. People treat each game like it's the whole season, like it's all 82 games, and it's not. Now, look, I get like that. And I say I want to punch a hole through my TV after certain games. When you take a step back and look at the whole situation with the team and for Jeremy, things are going great. He's a starter. He's the full-time starter. The team is on path to make the playoffs, and Jeremy's getting better and better. So looking at that, seeing the whole thing, stepping back, things are going really well. Jeremy has a great contract. He's getting all kinds of endorsement deals. He's a global icon. He's on a team that wants him. And yeah, it's not perfect. Mikhail benches him sometimes when we wish he wouldn't, but basically things are going great. And I would just say, hang in there. Don't get too high or too low after each game. And look, we're all just going to sit back and enjoy watching the unfolding of Linsanity 2.0 as it continues, and it's great. Gwizzlez, I agree. Jeremy is probably on a shorter leash with Coach Mikhail than a lot of the other players. And as I said about that before, I think that's because he's the point guard. And it's just a more important position on offense than any other position. It's much more important. And I think we saw it in the Phoenix game. If the point guard messes up, the offense is messed up. And that's basically, unless you're doing Harden ISO ball, where the point guard just hands the ball to James Harden. If not, then the point guard needs to direct things. I mean, people talk all the time about how, it's great. Jeremy's calling out what guys need to do and where they need to go. Well, yeah, he has to do that. That's what a point guard does. Point guard is a general. Point guard is the leader. But that means there's more scrutiny with that. Because, again, if you mess up, the whole offense is messed up. And I think that that's the way Coach Mikhail looks at it. And so he is tougher with Jeremy. But again, that's going to help Jeremy. And the reason why it'll help Jeremy is because he needs to get that mentality. You're not just a shooting guard anymore. You have to run the whole thing. It'll help him in a couple of years. As I said, Tony Parker, whatever, he's going to get to there. I'm not saying he's going to be the same level player Tony Parker is, although he could be. He's going to get better and better. And the point guard just has to take everything more seriously than the other players on offense just because of their position. That's just kind of the way that it goes. You're right. Chandler Parsons is becoming a very nice player. Chandler he's got a lot of ability. I mean, he does a lot of things well. And the knock on him, he doesn't do anything great. Well, he does everything well. And there's always a spot for a guy like that on a team. On every team, on championship teams. He is a versatile player. And he's going to get better and better. And I think that him, Jeremy, and Harden, I mean, that's the core. And Omer. mean, you have a very serious core of talent there, and Thomas Robinson might be the fifth piece of that core. This team is going to get better and better. As I said, it's frustrating sometimes. We don't like seeing certain things. Just wait. Just wait. It's going to get much, much better. Mr. Huynherful, hang in there on McHale. It is disappointing when he goes into the McPhail mode, but again, he's inexperienced. Now, Jeremy's been in the league 3 years. McHale's coached, what, this is his fourth year? He doesn't, there's plenty of things he doesn't know that well as a coach. And, but he's improving, like he kept Jeremy in the game against Phoenix. I mean, you take coaches like, I mentioned George Karl before. George Karl's been a coach for, 30 years, 25 years in the NBA. And he coached before that on, when there was a CBA, which was basically like the D League now. McHale, I don't think McHale coached at any level until he coached in the NBA, just like Mark Jackson for the Warriors. Those guys, they're playing catch-up. They don't know everything. George Karl knows everything about coaching. So does Greg Popovich. McHale's not there yet. But we just got to hang in there with him right now because he's all we got. J.K. White Dog from Canada. I don't think that McHale is looking for reasons to bench Jeremy. I don't. I think he likes Jeremy. I think he's just trying to teach Jeremy how to play the way that McHale wants him to play. And that's the tough love and all this stuff. And I do think it's going to help Jeremy in the long run. It's just frustrating right now. And as I said earlier, if things don't keep getting better next year, well, then we'll take a look at what Kevin McHale's job security situation is like then. Mr. Huynherful, again, on Aaron Brooks, I don't think he's going to take too many minutes from Jeremy because he's not the future of the franchise. So Aaron Brooks is like a guy, he's in there to come in and play well when the team needs it and the young guys aren't playing well. That's the way I view Aaron Brooks. So I don't think you're going to see him take a lot of minutes from Jeremy. J.K. White Dog, yeah, I could see Jeremy doing well playing for the Dallas Mavericks. I could see that, but Houston's a better situation for him. And the reason why is because Houston's younger. Houston has a future. Dallas doesn't, given their current roster. They're old. Now, I know Mark Cuban will make changes, but Houston's future is one of the brightest futures that there is in the NBA because of their talent and the age of the talent. So Jeremy's in better shape being on Houston, even if McHale's not a great coach. Ernie L., yep, there's no question that McHale blew it in the second Dallas game by keeping Jeremy on the bench in the fourth quarter. But he did learn from it. He did play the other guys. He did play Jeremy in the fourth quarter of the last two games. Win in Golden State, loss in Phoenix. So he's improving. Good. James Harden will take control of the ball from Jeremy at times, just like we saw in the Phoenix game. And I'm going to tell you right now, this happens all over the NBA. You'll see Kobe take the ball from Steve Nash, who's one of the greatest point guards that ever lived. You see LeBron take the ball from Mario Chalmers. It happens. It's not just happening to Jeremy. You get guys that are big-time stars, and James Harden is a big-time star. He really is. He is that good. And they want the ball in their hand just because they don't trust the other guys as much as they trust them. Is that right? I don't know. I mean, it's, I don't know if it's fair, but it happens. And I don't think it'll stay this way. And, you can't always have a championship team if you're like that. One of the things that Michael Jordan had to learn was you got to trust your teammates. And that's what Phil Jackson taught him. You need to pass the ball to Steve Kerr for an open shot, Michael, instead of you shoot every single time. If you do that, the defense can key on you, and then you're not going to succeed. I think that's a problem for Kobe sometimes. He's trying to shoot over triple teams rather than passing it. You can't do that. It might work for a game or two, but it's not going to work playoff series after playoff series. And so it's going to get better. Remember, this is a very young team in its first year together. So, if James Harden's still doing this in 3 years, well, then there might be a problem. But for now, don't worry about it too much, even if it's annoying. I think that Kevin McHale likes Jeremy Lin. I do. I just think he's trying to do the tough love thing. Solosky 99. Once again, in my opinion, if it comes down to McHale or Lin, then I think Kevin McHale's going to be gone. But we're not there yet. We're a long way from that happening, even if I know a lot of Lin fans would like it to happen right now. Iron Dick, you're right. Kevin McHale may have been trying to outthink the Dallas Mavericks coaching staff by playing Beverly rather than Lin in the fourth quarter of the second Dallas game. Because, as we pointed out, Dallas did specifically focus on stopping Jeremy Lin. They game planned for Jeremy Lin, the Mavericks did. Game planned means Dallas specifically strategized before the game on how to shut down Jeremy Lin. We have to win this game. What are the 3 keys to winning this game? Well, one of those keys for Dallas was to shut down Jeremy Lin. And Kevin McHale didn't adjust that well to it in the game. I don't think he did. And a lot of other people don't think he did either. His adjustment might have been, let's play Patrick Beverly. Then we don't have to adjust to what they're doing to Jeremy because they don't have a game plan for Patrick Beverly. Well, that didn't work well. So it would have been nice if McHale had an adjustment, had a counter to that strategy, but I don't think he did. And as I've said before, sometimes you have to fail before you change. In other words, Kevin McHale and his staff, we beat Dallas. We'll beat them again with the same game plan, except that you didn't beat them again. And unfortunately, a lot of times people wait until they fail, until they change. So hopefully they'll know what to do differently the next time they play Dallas. For now, Iron Dick, we're going to stick with the CNM name, but you make a good point about Lin fans being able to find us, so I appreciate that suggestion. Look, maybe Jeremy is watching these videos on his day off. I have no idea. I will say this. When I listen to Jeremy talking to the media, and they ask him questions, and what he has to work on and this and that, he says a lot of what I say, which is to say we're thinking along the same lines. That doesn't mean he's watching these videos, but Jeremy sees what I see, or I see what he sees about his game and what he has to improve upon and do differently. So, I'll take that. I mean, that's, if I don't know if Jeremy watches the videos, and again, I might never know, but if I'm thinking along the same lines that Jeremy's thinking, then I feel pretty good about it in terms of how his game is. XO 000. I agree that in a coin flip type of situation, 50-50, the coach should trust the starter. And McHale didn't do that in the second Dallas game. He blew it. He did. Jeremy does make his teammates better. And he is the key to the Houston offense, at least to the Houston offense that isn't James Harden ISO ball. McHale does trust James Harden more than he trusts Jeremy. That's true. And so he would allow probably more 29 points, 9 turnover games from James Harden than he would allow from Jeremy. I agree with that. But James Harden is a more proven player, and he's definitely a more proven scorer. Look, James Harden by himself had 3 comebacks in the Phoenix game to bring Houston back. You got to respect that. I mean, again, it's not that James Harden can't play or that he's not a star. Jeremy is not as good as James Harden. Not right now, he's not. And he might never be. James Harden is probably a top 10 player in the league right now. And again, I know people are going to get mad at me. I know Jeremy Lin fans that only want me to say good things about him are going to get mad. James Harden's a better player than Jeremy Lin right now. That doesn't mean he plays better or he runs an offense better than Jeremy. But all around, James Harden is a better player. And that's why the coaches lean on him. Whether they should or not, at certain times, that's why they do. And it's a philosophy. And hopefully, next year, the philosophy will change a little bit. Zhen Zima, I think a lot of people are tired of seeing Jeremy Lin and Omer Asik get benched in the fourth quarter. There's no doubt about that. But again, Coach McHale did get it right against Golden State and Phoenix. So hopefully Coach McHale will continue to make that correct decision, and hopefully then Jeremy and Omer will continue to play better and better and improve so that Coach McHale feels good about making that decision. Ip Diana from Hong Kong, McHale is a professional coach, but that doesn't mean he's a good professional coach, right? So, I mean, it's kind of funny, but not all coaches are the same. Some are better than others, even if they're all professional coaches in the NBA. And McHale's got a lot to learn. He's got a lot to learn as a coach. He does, a lot. And hopefully he can continue to improve. As I said, he did show that he learned something after the second Dallas game, though, by playing Jeremy in the fourth quarter of the Golden State and the Phoenix games. So that is good. That's the same thing I'll say to Donkey Ian ML. Yeah, McHale does need to learn, but he is showing that he's learning because of how he managed the fourth quarter, the last two games, by playing Jeremy. Kwok Wildlife from Hong Kong. Yeah, you said that McHale should just duplicate what Dallas was playing defense on Jeremy. Then that's what Houston should do against OJ Mayo. As I said, look, failure is a better teacher than success. Houston won the first game against Dallas. Well, we're going to win again. Well, but you didn't win again. Better coaches make adjustments even when they win. You know, maybe Houston didn't do that. And if they didn't, that's a shame. But not all coaches do that. And I'm not accusing Kevin McHale of not making adjustments, but maybe he didn't make enough adjustments between the two Dallas games. And, you know, hopefully he will do better in the future, especially considering that Dallas won the second game and Houston didn't. HulkHoganBodyslam. McHale blew it. He blew it in a game 62, the second game against Dallas. And it cost him and it cost the team. I know he thought that Patrick Beverley played well in the third quarter, that Jeremy didn't play well in the third quarter, etc. But, you know, he made a decision and it didn't work. And that's what coaching is. But, again, he did make the decision to play Jeremy in the Phoenix game, even though they didn't win. So he didn't play Jeremy, and they lost in Dallas, number 2. And he did play Jeremy, but they still lost in Phoenix. So it's not easy to coach because you're always going to be second-guessed. And sometimes, no matter what you do, you're going to lose. So we'll see. But look, the good thing if you're a Jeremy Lin fan is that he played Jeremy, even though they lost in Phoenix. And that's allowing Jeremy to make mistakes and learn from them. So, good. Alternative Grunge 91, you're right. After the second game in Dallas, everybody everywhere on the internet that was talking about the Rockets was talking about how badly Kevin McHale did in messing up and not playing Jeremy. So, I mean, I even saw Lin haters that were upset at what Kevin McHale did. So that really tells you something. So, you know, Coach McHale got called out, and he should have been. And, you know, as we said, he learned from it. And that's all we can ask. RockLin Roll. Owner Les Alexander, Rockets owner. I'm sure that if he's not happy with the way McHale is treating Lin, I'm sure he'll let that be known to Kevin McHale. So, as I said, one of the best things for Jeremy Lin fans is that Les Alexander likes Jeremy Lin. And that's the most important person in the franchise. So if Les Alexander likes Jeremy Lin, things are going to go well for Lin. It's just like James Dolan with Carmelo Anthony. James Dolan loves Carmelo Anthony, so he wanted Jeremy Lin out. He's out. You wanted. Well, that's my interpretation of part of what happened. Anyway, that's speculation. He wanted Mike D'Antoni gone. Well, Mike D'Antoni's gone. It's a pretty good thing when your owner is on your side. So Jeremy has that advantage. He does have that advantage, and that's good. Houston almost certainly is going to make the playoffs. RockLin Roll. So Utah just can't win right now. They just can't win right now. However, we want the highest seed possible, right? We want to get the 6th seed, not the 8th seed. And that's doable. And hopefully we'll be able to achieve it. HulkHoganBodyslam. No, I did not forget that Jeremy is Mr. Fourth Quarter. Just like I wouldn't forget that Jeremy's the surgeon or anything else. I was just trying to explain why Mikhail did what he did. When I point things out, that doesn't mean I agree with them. I'm just trying to give you a thinking process for a decision, even if I don't agree with it. Jeremy is Mr. Fourth Quarter, and he's proven that already, clearly, in his career. Games are great. I would like to see Coach McHale cut James Harden's minutes a little bit. That probably would be better for him. He's put a lot of minutes on his body this year. I think he is still having some trouble with his one knee, and that would be good. I don't know if that's going to happen this year. Again, we've got 19 or 18 games left, and this is the time to make the real push for playoff positioning. So my guess is Harden's going to continue to play heavy minutes. And certainly Jeremy and Omer need more minutes. But I think a lot of what you're going to see now is Mikhail's going to do whatever he thinks is going to win games, even if he's wrong. I think a lot of what he's going to do now is based upon that. And he'll still experiment some, but he just wants to win. Because as a coach, you have to win. Or, you're judged on winning and losing. So he's got to think about that. Mr. Huynherful, a lot of people felt the same way that you did after the second Dallas game. Look, it's a good thing that Coach McHale played Jeremy in the fourth quarters of the last 2 games. I'll just put it that way, given everything we've talked about and Jeremy's fan base. And because it didn't work sitting Jeremy in the second Dallas game, I think it's a good thing that McHale chose to play Jeremy in the fourth quarter of the Golden State and Phoenix games. Stephen Shu from Canada. Look, there are a lot of people, and I know this because I've seen it and I read it. There are a lot of people after the second Dallas loss who basically said, I'm happy Houston lost, because they wanted to teach Kevin McHale a lesson. They didn't want McHale to win in what he did with Jeremy. So if Houston won the game, then McHale looks good, right? I give him kudos because it worked. Well, they didn't want that. Lin fans wanted Houston to lose. A lot of them did, so that it looked like McHale made a mistake. And that's exactly what happened. And it works, right? McHale plays Jeremy the next 2 fourth quarters. That's how it goes. And people will say, oh, you're not a Rockets fan. You were rooting against the team. No, that's not true. Because there's a lot of different ways to win and lose. And so fans that are a fan of the team and a player, they want to win, but they want to win with their player playing. And believe me, people will tell you, oh, that only Lin fans do this. No. I've watched a lot of sports over a long period of time, and I can tell you, I've seen that many times in many situations where people that are fans of a player, they're not happy if the team wins and their player didn't play or didn't play well or didn't play enough. So believe me, that's a universal situation. That happens all over the place. Alternative Grunge 91. Look, McHale's just not a good coach. There doesn't have to be a conspiracy for McHale to be screwing things up. He's just not that good. That's the conspiracy. So I do think that Mikhail might believe that Jeremy's a little overhyped in terms of how popular he is compared to what he's accomplished, but that's okay. As I said, Jeremy has a lot of experience proving doubters wrong, and he's good at it. And if Mikhail is one of the last doubters he has to prove wrong, then he will, and he is. So it's going to be all right. Jeremy is tough. Chris Wu, again, Mikhail's not a great coach, and he is experimenting because of the new players. That's a lot of the reason why he has to experiment right now. Different combinations, got to get Thomas Robinson in, get Francisco Garcia in, etc., and get Demo in. It's frustrating, but it's something he has to do. Now, again, hopefully certain experiments will end, like let's not play Jeremy in the fourth. That, as I mentioned previously, I would love it if that experiment ended. Len Amos, you're welcome, as always. I always appreciate your nice, appreciative words, so thanks a lot for that. K-Su10, Mikhail is experimenting, and he's trying to win. So he's doing both, right? Some of the experimenting is just because he doesn't know what he has in the new players. He doesn't know what Thomas Robinson and Francisco Garcia can do. He doesn't know what Demo can do as a starter. So he is playing around, but he's just trying to win. So he'll do anything. It's just that his ideas of what will win aren't always good. And that's because he doesn't know everything that he's doing, and he doesn't know the talent that he's dealing with. So, as I said, just hang in there. He is getting better. He does seem to have learned the lesson about benching Jeremy in the fourth quarter, the last two games. So, hopefully he'll continue to improve. And I'd say the same to Mr. Round Eye. Hopefully Kevin Mikhail's experimentation stuff will end soon. It might not end before the end of this year, though. It might not end, but hopefully going into next year, it will end more, at least as regards Jeremy. Skeletor 312. You're right. Mike D'Antoni did have more faith in Jeremy Lin, but remember, Mike D'Antoni had to have more faith in Jeremy. Why? Because everybody was injured on the team. Baron Davis, injured. Carmelo, injured. Amari Stoudemire, injured. So, D'Antoni had faith in Jeremy, but he didn't have a lot of choice. But I will say this, though. D'Antoni learned quickly. And he once he saw what Jeremy could do, then he kept letting him do it. That's true. I will give him that. And Mikhail's been a little slower like that. But again, they are playing two different systems. And honestly, the goal sets were a little bit different. Because when Jeremy came in for Linsanity 1.0, what were they? They were like 8-15. They looked like a joke. And that was a team that was supposed to go to the playoffs and do some things in the playoffs. This is a different circumstance. D'Antoni had nothing to lose. Let me put it that way, by having faith in Jeremy. Now, I'm not going to sit here. The Rockets weren't expected to go to the playoffs this year. So in some sense, Mikhail's playing, the expression is playing with house money, like meaning a bet. He's already made money, so to speak, because they're doing better than they thought. But now, Mikhail wants the best playoff seeding he can get. So he's more, I think he doesn't trust Jeremy as much just because he wants to win. I wish he trusted him more. But I think that is going to come, and the circumstances are a little bit different than they were in New York with D'Antoni last year. APC GAM 24. Look, I think you made a great point, and this is been talking around this point a lot. You said that even if the team wins with Jeremy on the bench, that's not good for the long term. You're right. It's not good for the long term. And this is what coaches always have to balance. They have, a lot of times coaches have two goals, which is win right now and develop your talent. Develop the talent on your roster. And sometimes those two goals don't work well together. For example, sometimes on a team that's trying to win right now, they'll play an older player that isn't in the team's future. I mean, they're going to let him go next year, but they'll play him right now because they think he can help them win now, whereas the new young guy can't. And that's what I think you see a lot with Kevin McHale. He'll doubt Jeremy, and that's why, get Aaron Brooks or whatever, because he can help us win right now. It's a fine line. In all sports, certainly in the NBA, you'll see teams that have no chance of making the playoffs, and then they'll play their young guys because there's nothing to lose. And so it's, okay, we're in the rebuilding phase. Houston's kind of trying to have it both ways. They're trying to win right now. That's what McHale has in his mind anyway. And so that's what he's doing, whether or not it's the best approach or not. And you're right. It might not be the best approach. It would be better for Jeremy's development if he could play consistently 35 minutes every single night, no matter what. That would probably be better for him, because then you make mistakes and you learn from them. Now it's kind of like, if you make mistakes, I'm going to take you out because I want to win right now. And I might take you out and play someone else just because I have more faith in them, or I don't have enough faith in you. And that's all true. It's all true. And it's a balancing act. And it should get easier as time goes on. As next year, et cetera, it'll get easier. But it's been a tough thing this year. And there's been times when McHale has blown it, like he did in the second Dallas game. Jeremy is an excellent defender, as you pointed out. As I said, he's just not as small or quite as quick laterally as Patrick Beverley is against somebody with the ball in their hands. I do think he is, though, a much better team defender than Patrick Beverley. I don't think there's any question about that. W. Stuffy 2009, I agree that Parsons and Lin usually do have higher percentage shots that they take rather than James Harden. There's some shots James Harden taking, like, why is he taking that? Now, I thought Jeremy had a couple shots like that in the Phoenix game, and I pointed that out in that video. But in general, I think there's less of that. And that's what McHale's trying to teach him. Don't shoot shots like that. Yeah, Harden does it sometimes, but nobody should do it. Nobody should do it. As I've said this in another video, LeBron is having such a ridiculous statistical year because he's not taking bad shots anymore. And that's what McHale's trying to teach Jeremy. It's just, a lot of people feel, why aren't you trying to teach Harden that? Well, it's a good point, but Harden's better than Jeremy. And so it's not always fair, and it's up to the coach. So we have to live with McHale right now. So hopefully he'll continue to make better and better decisions as regards Jeremy. James Harden is a great player. I know you said that he's overrated. I don't agree with that. I think if James Harden came into this year underrated, greatly underrated. I know that from participating in discussions on the internet all over the place. People are, he can't be a number one option. No, that's wrong. James Harden is a tremendous player, but he does try to do too much sometimes, and we've seen that. He's going to need to get better and better at that. And as the players around him play better and he's more comfortable with them, then he'll try to do less and less. And again, some games are just going to be bad games. The Phoenix game was a bad game. Like I said, it was a trap game. It was a game everybody thought on the team it was going to be easy, and it wasn't. And they kind of broke their form and just didn't play that well as a unit. I would love it if Royce White was with the team and ready to go, but I just don't know if that's ever going to happen. I hope it happens, but I don't know if it's going to happen, and we'll have to see. But hopefully it does happen. It's going to take time. I think if it's going to work out that way, so we'll see. Finally, Sumiamchi, I don't think the W. Stuffy 2009 was trying to troll with that comment. I think he was being serious. So Okay, look, that's it for now in this comment video for Game 61, Game 62. As I said, keep your eyes out for the next comment video, comment video number 5. And as I mentioned, after I do the comment video number 5, I will do a video response to the Mikhail is a Lin doubter video by Jeremy Lintel. Look, we've got 2 days. It's early Monday morning here on the East Coast of the United States, about 8 a.m., March 11th, 2013, which means it is about 9 p.m. on March 11th, Monday, in Taipei, Taiwan. But we've got 2 days between now and the next Houston game, which is the rematch with Phoenix. So we know a lot of people, I know you guys are itching for more Jeremy Lin material, and so we're going to give it to you. Get this video up. I'll start working on the next comments video, and then I'll start working on that other video in the response to the Mikhail Doubts Lin video. So look for those things, and we'll try to satisfy your J-Lin needs. That's it for now. Your comments below. Thumbs up, thumbs down on this video. Again, in the video description, there'll be information so you can go and check out the comments I'm responding to for the Game 61 and 62 videos. Those videos will be links for them will be posted in the video description. Also information, you can come and join the Conservative New Media Facebook group, which has over 2,000 members and counting. I am Paul at Villarreal, the NBA expert. Thanks a lot for watching Conservative New Media. We strive to be the #1 Jeremy Lin YouTube fan channel. Hope everybody's having a great day or great night wherever you are around the world when you watch this video. And just like I said, man, we got 2 more days to the next game, and I'm already itching. I can't wait. I love hoops. I got to have my little hoops fix. So, but it's good for the team. Have time to rest, have time to practice, work out some of these kinks, work out some of the offensive breakdowns, etc. And hopefully they'll be ready to get some revenge against Phoenix, and I think they will be ready for that. And so we will talk to you again soon. Take care of yourself.